Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason. We're obviously in the kitchen, and Angela Kay's over at the stove getting ready to cook some supper. But what we're going to do today is a little something different, but it does use some garden vegetables and some of our fresh eggs. You ever go to the Japanese steakhouse, possibly get that delicious fried rice and that beautiful yum yum sauce, or whatever kind of sauce you want to call it, but that's what it's kind of called, is yum yum sauce. Well, you can make that at home. Angela Kay's going to show you how to do it. Actually, it's her take, okay? So it's just kind of a blank canvas so much. You can do what you want to with it, and this is how she's going to do it and show you how to use some garden vegetables and get an absolutely delicious meal out of it at the same time.
I'm not by far saying this is authentic fried rice, so don't think it is. Now I've got some oil, some neutral flavored oil heating, and this is a 12-inch skillet. You want a very large skillet. And I have about 6 eggs in here. I'm just giving you a method. You can use as many eggs as you want. You can use whatever you want. Now you want to pour them into the hot skillet.
Hot skillets have been on for a minute.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And you want it to stay hot. Mm-hmm. And yes, you want that much oil in there.
How much oil was it?
It was about 2 to 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
But it thins out a lot once you. And you want to scramble your egg. That's the first thing you want to do. And yes, it's all because all the oil and because of the high heat, it's going to clump fast. It's going to curdle fast. So you want to move it around a lot and very fast. Because you want the big pieces of egg. You don't want it like you would want scrambled eggs for breakfast. You want the big pieces of egg. Because that makes the fried rice better. I put some salt and pepper in those eggs, by the way.
Yeah.
This whole thing comes together really fast. But you have to make sure that you do some prep work ahead of time. I'm going to pull these out. Now these eggs are done, so I'm going to pull them off to a plate because you want to pull them completely off, take them out of the pan. Now at this point, you should still have some oil left in there. It won't be as much as you had before, but you should still have enough oil to fry your next vegetable. And I'm doing carrots. I couldn't imagine fried rice without carrots or peas. But you can do whatever you want. This is my take. So I'm more teaching you a method than a recipe. This is about 3 large carrots, which equals about a cup of chopped carrots. Now you want to season those up with a little sprinkle of salt and pepper. And no matter what vegetables you do, you want to start with your hardest vegetable first. Because you want to put in the one that's going to take the longest to cook, which would be carrots. And you want to cook these until they're almost tender. If it seems like you need some more oil in the pan, go ahead and add a little bit more oil. Now my carrots are almost tender, so now I'm going to throw in my next vegetable, which for us, we had some leftover yellow squash that I picked out of the garden. So I'm adding yellow squash. I've also done it with zucchini, with leftover zucchini. Basically,
they're interchangeable with each other.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Basically, anything that you have left over from the garden, just odds and ends, throw it in here.
Absolutely.
Because it will all work. Fried rice is a blank canvas that you can just literally add anything to.
Yeah.
Now, you want to salt and pepper that. And once the squash starts to get tender, I'll show you what else I like to add.
Keep it moving though this whole way?
You want to keep it moving.
Alright.
Do not stop tossing it around because you want to keep this on pretty high heat.
Yeah.
Because it all goes really fast. And the faster it goes, the better. Because the higher your heat, the better.
Yeah.
Now, my squash is pretty much tender. Doesn't take squash or zucchini long at all. Now I want to flavor those up. At this point, you can use soy, you can use teriyaki, you can use coconut aminos. This is what I like to use. I like to use bachans. It is amazing. Now, I will tell you, you have to shake it up really well because it has a lot of garlic and ginger in it. And even though it has a squeeze top, that don't work very well. All the ginger gets stuck in that squeeze top. So I just open it and pour it. You just want to drizzle a little bit around.
Now that's salty, right?
It's salty, it's got a little bit of sweetness. Honestly, the reason I love to use it in fried rice, it's just perfect.
So, but what you were telling me earlier before I was coming back home is be careful with the salt because of that.
Because it does have a salt content.
Right.
Now, if you don't know where to find bachan, I get it at Whole Foods, but Kroger also has it. I looked at the Kroger app on my phone. Kroger also has it. I'm thinking probably most places carry bachans these days. Yeah. And that smell is instant because you've got garlic and ginger and everything good. You've got so many good things in that, and it adds such a good flavor to fried rice. Okay, now we're going to pull these off and put them in a bowl because we have to do our next step. Then we'll add them all back in later. Now I've added a little bit more oil to my skillet. You can see there's still remnants of the vegetables. It's fine. Now I'm adding some shredded chicken.
Cooked chicken.
Yes, cooked chicken. You can use rotisserie chicken. You can use chicken you just cooked special for it. This is chicken that I use to make broth. It's a great use for chicken that you use to make broth.
Yeah.
Because you're taking that chicken and adding a lot of flavor to it. If you don't want chicken, use steak. If you don't want steak, use shrimp, use pork.
Could you use leftover turkeys from Thanksgiving?
Yes, you could.
That's interesting.
Yes, you could. You can use just about any meat that you like. Now, once again, you want to salt and pepper, but be careful because we're going to add some more bachans to it.
And you're also adding onion sauce later.
Yes. Which is
super flavorful.
Yes. Very flavorful. Now you basically want to fry this chicken. It's been in the freezer and it's thawed, but it's still cold.
Yeah. You gotta reheat it.
So you've got to get it nice and reheated. You can add as much or as little as you want. I'm not teaching you a recipe here. I'm giving you ingredients and measurements.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you a method.
Right. So if this is chicken that you cook special for this, you can cook it earlier in the day, put it in the fridge.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Now I'm going to put just drizzle a little bit of bachans in there. Because you're flavoring each component. That smell is just insane the minute you add that bachan. And no, before anybody asks, we are not affiliates of bachan. We just love it in this.
She's saying bachans, it's this word right here, B-A-C-H-A-N-S. That's what Angela's saying. You couldn't see it really well when she showed you earlier. But this is what it is. It's B-A-C-H. It's just a Japanese barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Now, your chicken is all warm and done now. I'm going to throw it in the bowl with my veggies. Now, we've put a little bit more oil back in the pan. Now, this part is very crucial. This is your rice. You do not want to cook this, especially for this, and put hot rice in here. You want leftover rice, or you want to cook it early in the morning because you want it cold. If it's not cold, it's just all going to mush together.
Cooked rice and cold.
Yes. And if you put it in hot, it's just going to mush all together.
Okay.
But you want it, the way it come out in a big clump, that's the way you want it to be. And this, for me, is about 3 cups of cooked rice. And yes, it is going to stick.
This pan sticks bad anyways, but it's going to stick.
It's going to stick.
A lot of starch involved.
Don't worry about it, it's going to stick.
It'll be okay. It cleans up.
It cleans very well. Just get a tool that scrapes really well, because you actually want that stuff to stick, that brown stuff, because it tastes wonderful.
It's flavorful.
So you actually want that. And I always make a mess when I'm making fried rice. They say a messy cook's a good cook, so I hope that's true. But sometimes I'm a dang messy cook.
Messy clean too, though.
Now, to this, of course, it's already been salted when it cooks, so you probably won't have to add any salt. So I'm adding more bachans to this. To the rice, I'm adding a little bit more than I added to everything else. Rice is a very blank canvas. You can add more.
Yeah. It soaks it up to the mix.
So now, you want to let this go, moving it constantly until it's nice and hot, and your rice is starting to break up, and it's all hot again. And then I'll show you what you do next. Now to this, I'm adding some frozen peas, because I personally can't imagine fried rice without peas. I use frozen. If you have fresh from the garden, go ahead and use those.
Yeah. It's hard to have fresh from the garden, I know.
Yeah. But if you're making this at a different time of year and you have fresh, by all means use fresh. You don't have to thaw them. Just throw them in. They will fall by the heat of the pan. Just toss them around with your rice. And now, at this point, if your skillet is big enough, you want to add back in your chicken and your veggies. We'll see if my skillet's big enough. That bowl is very hot. If I can't fit it all in, I will put in some, and then I will throw in the rest. Then I will throw in the rest.
So now it's all cold. You're just mixing it together,
Yeah,
right?
I'm just mixing it together at this point. And giving the peas a chance to thaw a little more.
Yeah.
And basically, with the bachans or whatever you're choosing to use, whether it be soy or teriyaki or coconut aminos or whatever you choose to use, season with your heart.
Yeah.
Put as much or as little as you like. Keep in mind, soy is very salty, so you want to be a little more gentle with it. And bachans is very flavorful, but it's also very balanced.
But one thing that Angela's always told me is you can always put a little more in, you can never take it out.
Exactly.
So taste it.
Yes, taste as you go with fried rice.
Be cautious and taste it, and if you like to take some more, put some more in.
Yep, exactly. The reason I haven't tasted a whole lot during this process, I'm used to this.
Yeah.
I'm used to making this. This is a summertime thing for us.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And sometimes I even do it of the winter with squash or zucchini that I've cubed up and put in the freezer. Because it is a great thing to do with that zucchini or squash that you have in the freezer.
Yeah.
And at this point, you're ready to throw in your egg. Because you want to throw it in last.
Because it's mix it in there.
You kind of want that contrast of where the egg is so yellow. You kind of want that contrast in look. That's the biggest reason you want to throw the egg in last, is you want that contrast in look.
And it doesn't need to overcook either.
Yes. And that looks amazing.
It's good.
And it's going to be even better with the yum yum sauce.
The color that I actually showing the egg, it's actually showing a little too orange. There is a much different contrast from what you can see in the camera right now.
Now, your fried rice is ready.
Now at this point, Angela Kay has already made the yum yum sauce, but she did it earlier in the day, so here's that footage.
Okay, you can't have fried rice without yum yum sauce. If you've never had it, if you've never been to a Japanese steakhouse and you've never had it, you're missing out, my friend. If you have had it, I'm going to show you how to make it homemade and never have to buy that bottled stuff again. First time I ever was at a Japanese steakhouse, was on a date with Jason and some of his friends in North Carolina when I went to meet his parents. And I was hooked on this yum yum sauce. Now I know how to make it myself. So in this dish, I just go ahead and stir it up in a storage container. That way I can just go ahead and pop a lid on it, put it in the refrigerator. Now you want to make this early in the morning because you want it to sit so the flavors meld and get wonderful and beautiful. So you want to make it early in the morning when you make your rice. Because that rice has to be cold. Again, I'll say it, that rice has to be cold. So in this container, we have 1 cup of mayonnaise. We have 2.5 tablespoons of ketchup. We have a tablespoon of sugar. If you don't like the sugar balances it a lot. If you don't like the sugar in it, you can replace it with honey, or you can leave it out altogether, but it won't be as balanced. We have a teaspoon of granulated garlic. We have 1/2 tablespoon of paprika. We have about 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Now we're going to stir all that together, but then we're going to add a couple more ingredients that are kind of key to it, to setting that flavor off. And as you can see, it's getting a nice color. It gets a very nice color to it. The reason I add the sugar is it balances that garlickiness. And if you've ever been to a Japanese steakhouse, the one that Jason took me to was called Makoto's. And it has that slight sweetness. Well, you're not going to get that. You're going to get very garlicky if you don't have that little bit of sugar or honey or whatever you choose to use. Now, this is kind of crucial. This next step is kind of crucial. It's going to sound kind of funny, but it works. I am using 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I'm using Bragg's. But you guys know I eyeball things a lot. So it's roughly measured 2 teaspoons. Or you can use rice wine vinegar. I have used both. I think I like the apple cider vinegar a little bit better than the rice wine. I think I just prefer it. Now you stir that in together. And also, at this point, once you get that mixed in, it's going to seem pretty thick. Well, you want it to be a drizzly consistency because you want to like drizzle it on your fried rice. Or anything else you use it on, because you can use this on absolutely anything. I mean, at Makoto's, when Jason took me there, they were even serving in a salad dressing on the salad. And it was so delicious. They served it for you to dip your shrimp in, your chicken in, your steak in, because it's good with everything. This is 1 to 3 tablespoons of warm water. So I'm adding about 1 tablespoon, because to me that looks like this is all it's going to need. Now when you pull it out of the refrigerator to use it, it may have thickened up some. So you may want to go ahead and add a little bit more warm water. And that will be just fine, because I will show it to you when I pull it out and show you what consistency you want it to get it back to, what consistency it is, and what consistency you want to get it back to. That is a beautiful sauce right there. For right now, that is a really good consistency. Like I said, it will thicken. As it sits and gets cold, it will thicken. So now you want to put this in the refrigerator and chill it for several hours. For at least, I would say at least 4 hours. But I usually do mine longer. Now here's your finished yum yum sauce after it's set. And as I told you, it gets very thick. Yeah, as it gets cold, it gets very thick. So I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon more warm water. You want to do warm water to thin it out, because you want it to essentially drizzle on your fried rice.
But now, will it, once it gets hot here on this, will it thin back out some?
It will thin out some, but you don't want it to like glop on there, because this stuff is very strong.
It is. It is.
Yum yum sauce is very strong, and if you glop it on there, it can overpower very quickly because it's pretty garlicky.
And this tastes really good on its own. I just tasted it. It's not bad. I'm not sure I ever tasted it without the sauce. That's really good on its own.
I told him the story, Jason, about the first time I had yum yum sauce.
Oh, Makoto's?
At Makoto's. I told him the story.
And somehow or another, after we moved to Ohio, we started working with a youth pastor at another church who used to live in North Carolina and had a really bad experience at Makoto's. Took a girl there on a date. His waitress was a former girlfriend. It worked out great for him.
I had forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
I had forgot about that. Now we can plate it up.
All right, beautiful plate. I wish you could really see it in person, but it's awesome. Looks good. Yum yum sauce is good. Be careful with that yum yum sauce because it can overpower, but it is also really stinking delicious. All right, good looking bite right here. That's so good. Yep. Really good. But honestly, you gotta get it while it's hot so I can get off here. That is so good. Super delicious. A lot of flavor. And honestly, it's a great, unique way to use some garden vegetables and some fresh eggs. I mean, we use eggs that we raise from the chickens, right? Raise the chickens, and we use squash, or you can use zucchini, whatever. And peas or carrots too. By the way, you didn't have peas and carrots, but out of our garden, but you could very easily. A lot of times we do have carrots, we just didn't right now. So, great way to use some vegetables out of your garden and some eggs that you've raised from the chickens. So, really, truly, it's a good garden clearing, fresh eating meal that it's stinking wonderful. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. My name is Jason. That's Angela Kay. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you. Goodbye.